Okay, great. Well, we've got several of our attendees have joined and all of our panelists, so I think we can go ahead and get started. So welcome everybody to Home Connectivity Alliance's first webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Liz Nardoza, and I'll be your host and moderator. So first, we do have a few housekeeping items. So attendees can submit questions via the chat feature. We will keep everybody on mute so that we can have the panelists focused on the presentation, but you can submit questions via the chat feature at any time, and we will visit those at the end. If we run out of time, we will reach out to you directly to answer your question. And this webinar will be recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing afterwards. So now I'd like to introduce our panelists for today. So please welcome Yoon Choi from Samsung Electronics, the Global Partnerships and Alliances and HCA President. Hi, Yoon.
Hey everyone.
And we have John Hughes from Trane Technologies, so Chief Engineer and HCA Technical Work Group Chair. So hi, John. Thanks so much for joining.
Hi, everyone.
We have Michael Siemann from Resideo, Distinguished Engineer and HCA Energy Management Task Force Chair. Hi, Michael.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Liz.
We have Jeff O'Shaughnessy, Hartford Steam Boiler, President of Portfolio Risk Solutions and HCA Insurance Task Force. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Liz. Good day to everybody.
Great. So let's go ahead and get started. So Yoon, I'll ask for you to kick us off. Could you please give us, an overview of HCA so we can get a little bit of the background before we dive into the questions?
Sure. First of all, I think thank you to the panelists and thank you for all the participants. Wherever you guys are, I think it's probably quite early or quite late. And so thank you for joining. Liz, I think, the great way to maybe summarize where we are with HCA is HCA started, we are now just coming up on our third year. So we've started about 3 years ago, and it was started as an alliance focused on large appliances and HVAC, so devices that stay in your home for a very long time. We realized, I think at the time, through many previous trials, that this type of category of products require a more tailored solution when it comes to the digital transformation, right? So this is why HCA was started. Coming up on our third year, I think our core three missions remain the same. And the first one is to ensure that the tangible benefits are actually benefits that will last as long as the products, right? So this is for us a different sort of approach. The second one is that, make sure that it's actually meaningful to the businesses who are investing in this. And this is quite an important point because that is the way to ensure that these businesses stay committed throughout the life cycle of this, transformation. And the last one is, we make sure that we work with not only within the member companies, but we work with other large industries like insurance or energy to make sure that the benefit is expanded beyond just the devices, right? So, this was our sort of core three mission as we started. These remain. One, I think, last point I'd like to make is that our success is defined not only by what we work on, but what we also do not work on, right? And so, for example, there's quite a lot of great work being done by organizations like CSA. And so we are very aware, and we want to make sure that we're not creating fragmentation or, deviation for the sake of it, right? So I think we remain connected with CSA, Applia, AHAM, all of these organizations. I think in today's panel, I think we'll talk about, it'll be a preview of how our industries work with other industries to enable sort of our goals and visions. So I hope that that's helpful.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you, Yoon. That was very helpful. So Michael, we'll start with you. So Resideo, like many other members, has been involved with HCA from, very early on. How has the organization progressed in the last 3 years from your perspective?
So yeah, I think HCA has made incredible progress in just 3 short years. We started with the interoperability specification 2022 through 2023. And that standard can be used to help our customers simplify like their management of smart appliances from multiple brands into a single mobile application. Um, Manufacturers can now also develop more encompassing experiences, tying together more data points and things to control, from that ecosystem that's created. And then in 2023, energy management made really great progress as well. We developed the version 1 of our energy management specification, really focused on the demand response as that first use case. And in doing this, we simplified the information that's needed to be exchanged for devices to participate in both utility and energy market programs. And we still did this, by giving manufacturers the control over what actions they would take with their appliances to achieve those desired load adjustments. And then this past year, our member companies conducted experimentation and lab testing. So this was gathering data from multiple manufacturers, testing 18 different simulated demand response scenarios. And they are continuing to work on pulling the remaining data that we need on general usage to help fully assess what the expected performance would be in the types of load shifting we would have in demand response events. And really just kind of like wrapping up at the end of this year, we're drafting our version 2 of our specification, trying to have this meet the requirements of the European Union's Code of Conduct on energy smart appliances. We started with the flexible start and manual operation use cases from that, and are closely working with the JRC to make our HCA standard be a reference standard member companies can use to demonstrate that they meet the requirements of the Code of Conduct. So quite a busy 3 years.
Yeah, that's a lot of progress. We've heard that from folks. It's been a very, very busy few years as we've been watching. So, John, I'll move over to you. So as the technical work group chair, how has HCA been able to move so quickly on, on these specifications and on all of this progress? You see all the behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to the work group participants and the support we receive from our companies. We're united to a common goal to focus on the simplest solution. So we don't try to boil the ocean. We try to get there the fastest. When we first started working together a few years ago, I was concerned that we would spend months or even years arguing about basic protocols. And I was pleasantly surprised that we worked all that out in an afternoon. And that's because these are the technologies that our companies already use. They're industry best practices. We're not inventing protocols. We're inventing better ways to solve use cases. And so through that, we're taking the knowledge and the domain expertise from many companies across the world and coming together to solve those customer needs. That helps us to learn from successes and failures from other attempts in the past to do this, and also from other things that we have personally done or within our companies. And as Yoon once said, the key to our success is to stay humble. If we start fighting and amongst ourselves, it's going to be the end of it. So that's been our focus, and that's how we're going to be successful in the future.
Great. So with all of this progress, I know HCA also announced, new member HSB earlier this year, I think in January, and now, HSB's leading the insurance task force alongside Resideo. So Jeff, could you tell us a little bit about what is HSB's role in the insurance industry?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Liz. And we're thrilled to be the newest member of HCA. For those who aren't familiar with HSB, we're essentially a specialty reinsurance and insurance company. and we're part of the Munich Re group. And for those unfamiliar with Munich Re is the largest reinsurer in the world. HSB was founded about 160 years ago in 1866. And at the time, we were an engineering company that was trying to solve the problems of the day. At the time, it was boilers were exploding and causing massive property damage and loss of life. And we had a couple forward-thinking engineers who designed a new boiler design, would go out and inspect it. And we felt so confident in our work that we decided to insure it. So fast forward to today, and HSB is one of the leading insurers of equipment and equipment technology within the US and very large globally. And we're focused on creating value out of a combination of not only insurance, but that engineering DNA that we have, as well as technology and increasingly data to solve different and emerging risks as they arise, not only with equipment, but also in the areas of property, renewable energy, cyber, liability exposures, you name it. And ultimately really driving to where we can help businesses and homes avoid disruption, be more efficient, be more resilient, and ultimately safer. So one of the ways we do that is as a reinsurance provider to about 250 different primary carriers, many names that you all know as insurance companies. And we provide specialty coverages and innovative loss prevention services to millions of homes across the US. So in order to do that, we've assembled not only our own coverages and services, but we've also partnered with a number of different startups, ecosystems, alliances, partnerships to make sure that we're on the cutting edge of new ways of thinking and new capabilities, and all ultimately designed to bring that for the benefit of the consumer and in this case, the homeowner. So HCA is certainly a wonderful example of that. And we're thrilled to be part of an alliance that has a lot of impressive industry leaders and certainly like-minded organizations to HSB.
Yeah, that's great background information. And to relate it to the working groups, Michael, you're the chair of the Energy Management Task Force. So can you share with us a little bit about how HCA's progress in energy management kind of relates to what the group is now working on with the Insurance Task Force? So going to give us some context there.
Yeah, so we've established a methodology for API interoperability and energy management, and we're going to use that as the foundation for the Insurance Task Force to do the same. So we were able to focus on like the essential aspects of what was needed, kind of like during that first phase, and that's allowed us to remain very nimble and efficient in both in terms of our progress and how we were developing the specification. And from the interoperability spec and energy and now insurance, there's this guiding principle of efficiency and kind of take an evolutionary approach step by step to do it. So following that playbook, the Insurance Task Force, the guiding team, you're doing this with the most important use cases first, and that'll drive the development and the team's working on right now.
Perfect. Yeah, that's really helpful. So regarding, oh yeah.
Yeah,
please.
One comment I'd like to make, and this is, both with HSB and with Resideo is, I think with appliances or HVAC and energy companies like Resideo, I think it's a little bit more predictable and it's more imaginable how the relationship is. I think with an insurance company, even as we were kind of building this, there was even internally within HCA and within our companies, there was a lot of like questions about, wait, how does that actually even relate, right? One thing I'd like to mention is that both, Resideo as an energy company, there's many sides of Resideo, but as an energy company, and HSB as an insurance company, I think it's a little misleading, right? Because when you actually open up the hood and meet people like Jeff or Michael, you quickly realize that these are very, very advanced technology companies, right? And so it's a little bit different than what we had expected. And we are, of course, pleasantly surprised, right? I think these are very advanced technology companies that can work with us in this capacity, and that's very, very exciting. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, that's really helpful. That's very informative to the attendees and gives that background. So I guess in terms of other areas of expansion, for HCA, we've talked about insurance, is there an emphasis on global participation? So it's thinking about, the presence of HCA, or these efforts just focused on the US? Maybe John, I'll ask you to chime in there.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. Yeah, the HCA is absolutely a global organization. We hold meetings in many time zones, and as you're aware, well, in 2 weeks we're going to have a meeting for 3 days in European time zone. But as an example, though. Our cybersecurity standard that we released this year takes together the cybersecurity standards across many regions, the US, the EU, Asia, and pulled those together, distilled it down to what we believe was critical that we align on for the HCA. Also, as Michael said, this year we're expanding HCA energy management to include 5 use cases that were identified by the European Union. So we're absolutely a global organization working together and solving global problems.
Absolutely. And I think, Liz, if I can add to that, it's there's, as John and Michael mentioned, working with organizations like or regulatory bodies like the European Commission, is we do that on a global scale. And I think what we try to do is pick the right ones that are actually relevant to our industries. And then recently, for example, with the Korea Association of Smart Home, we did an MOU, and we are working with them to create a special interest group within Korea to further proliferate the specification and the use, all the good work that our team has done, right? So working with different industries like property developers or other energy companies within Korea, to put to use all of the work that Michael and John has produced, right? So yeah, we continue to do that, and we will continue to do that over time globally.
Yeah, I just want to jump in and add too, kind of onto that, like what we've seen in energy, while we have kind of US and European and global use cases, that might start being important in one part of the world, earlier, and then we see, a few years later, it's now becoming important in the other part of the world. So able to kind of get ahead of all of it for all of our member companies, and then when it becomes more important in a market that they've been focusing on, it's much easier. They already have the solution there to move with.
Absolutely. And I think we'll see that progress throughout, other industries like insurance as well, right? I think there's global trends. And, once it gets to sort of this connected, protection, that's what's happening with InsurTech, all of this, there's a global trend that is happening. And I think we are trying to get our member companies and our consumers at the forefront of that so that they can benefit in the maximum way possible, right? So this is we'll see this throughout multiple domains.
Mm-hmm. So Michael, maybe you can expand a little bit, specifically and talk about HCA's role in the energy industry, and then what will determine success. And we talked a little bit about the the global aspects of it, but can you kind of expand on HCA's role in energy?
Yeah, so HCA is going to make it easier for appliance manufacturers, from our members to participate in demand response programs. That was kind of goal with what we did in the version 1 of the spec. And while we don't envision like utilities to be commissioning new programs dedicated to like very individual specific appliance types, we do see that they're going to fit in with this trend that we're observing, where programs are evolving to be based on like the whole home's performance. It's it's every load. It's has the possibility to contribute to load management. So multiple devices are going to be better for that type of a solution. And we're also making it easier for our smart appliances to interact with an energy management system. With this, they can be controlled alongside the other loads in the home more efficiently. They can help customers achieve their electrification goals and, in the end, lead us all to a brighter future.
Great. That really gives the context and energy. Thank you. And actually, let's switch back a little bit to the insurance side, since that is, relatively new still for HCA. So Jeff, could you tell us a little bit about why it's important for HSB to be involved in HCA, and what's the opportunity that HSB sees in joining the group?
Yeah, thanks, Liz. So I've got a number of different thoughts in my head here, but certainly, HCA has assembled, as I mentioned before, an impressive lineup of some of the world's leading OEMs within the alliance. So for HSB, when we first became aware of HCA and Yoon, it presented a really unique opportunity to collaborate with so many forward-thinking and like-minded organizations who are focused on home equipment and home appliances. So the very thing that HSB insures and reinsures across millions of homes in the U.S. HSB, and I appreciate Yoon's comments earlier, while we are a insurer and reinsurer in name, we do often lead with technology and engineering as really the way we operate. And so we come at insurance a little bit differently than many of our peers. So to that end, we're on a mission to move the insurance mindset, a long-standing insurance mindset, from the concept of repair and replace, meaning if tomorrow the wind blows the roof off your house, you just replace the roof. And that's a lot of money and time and effort. Now, we don't have an answer for that yet, but we want to move it to a more innovative mindset of predict and prevent. So you think about a hot water heater. Hot water heaters all the time, pinhole leak can lead to a finished basement being fully immersed in water, which is a huge disruption to the homeowner, huge cost to them. And so we want to minimally mitigate and or optimally avoid losses like those that are very preventable or predictable, especially, by the way, in light of the way the world is going right now and property catastrophic losses of hurricanes and severe convective storms and flooding and wildfires, which are much harder to predict and prevent, of course. So this idea of being able to make a better day for a homeowner as opposed to be there when a bad day happens is really what's exciting to us. So when we think about that, HCA's focus on smart home, smart appliances, smart equipment, and the data that comes out of that is a perfect complement to our approach. If we think about data specifically, it's an area where the insurance industry has lagged historically. And so HCA's vision of leveraging data for good very much aligns with our focus. We envision transforming those risk management services I was talking about before by way of proper and transparent use of data from these long life residential equipment. And so those connected devices and the sensors that are inherent in them unlock real-time data and correlative insights that ultimately will help the industry bring way more value to homeowners. And so again, as I said before, rather than wait for something bad to happen and be there to clean it up, let's prevent it from ever happening and allow that homeowner to have efficient use of their home, pleasant use of their home, and avoid that bad day altogether. So we think the collective wisdom here of HCA and our ability to hopefully bring a little bit wisdom to that as well, and then the shared insights will really kind of create a win-win situation for the homeowner down the road.
Yeah, that's really helpful, because this is the first time that HCA has been able to share more about the start of the insurance task force and everything. So I think that's very informative to our listeners.
I will say, Liz, too, that we have a number of folks at HSB who are part directly or indirectly of that insurance task force, and they're thrilled to be again with so many like-minded people. And we've got data folks, we got risk engineers, we have IoT engineers, so we're really excited about it.
That's great. So now, looking ahead, because we're, in Q4 and the end of the year is coming very fast. So maybe let's talk about the coming months and into 2025. So maybe John and Michael, could you kind of get us started here and look ahead for us and talk about what's coming for HCA?
Thanks, Liz. Yeah, so besides what we've already talked about, one of the most exciting things I think is that we're working on is simplified account linking, taking away some of the friction for the homeowner to pair the accounts between two different companies. So that may not make it in the new release that's coming out right now, but it's something that we're working on with a more forward-looking vision there. Another thing Michael could tell us a little bit more about is our test and analysis of applying demand response to new appliance categories. So right now we're looking at some white goods, washers, dryers, dishwashers, trying to understand what the opportunity would be for applying demand response to those products that historically, haven't really been considered for their contribution. Michael, you have anything to add?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll kind of like round it out in like a timeline too. Kind of try to wrap up this year. We're continuing to work with the European Union JRC on the remaining use cases, of the code of conduct, specifically the limitation and the monitoring of power consumption. Two big ones remaining, and hoping to finalize our draft version of version 2 of our specification. Get our member stakeholders feedback. So that way, for next year, trying to target a release, the official version, so that way, companies can start working towards it. And we'll also in that, because the code of conduct use cases very much are about coordinating with an energy management system. We hope to have a manufacturer that we can start talking to and understanding maybe even more details about how that coordination should occur between our various systems in the cloud. And the kind of in advancing with the JRC's goals as they expand the use cases that they want to have in their code of conduct. We're going to continue to be engaged there, and want to help with our energy smart appliances, and what they can support. And yeah, as you were mentioning, John, we hope to kick off field testing of the demand response adjustments that we've been modeling and testing in the lab. We want to confirm that the data we gathered during that lab testing phase, it's indicative of what we can expect in a full-scale program. And then we also want to start seeing how receptive customers are to these types of adjustments and programs in general. So looking forward to 2025 and beyond.
That's great. Okay, perfect. Well, I think right now we'll move to some audience questions for our second half here. Let's start off with let's see. Will HCA be at CES? Maybe Yoon, that's a good question for you.
Sure. I think many, if not all of our members, whether it's CES or IFA in Berlin, will definitely be there. This year in 25, we will not have like an HCA booth, but all of our members will be there. And I think, we will have different meetings. But it's a great place to connect, to learn about HCA, have a deeper understanding of the workflow, the use cases, and the specifications that are coming out. So yeah, I hope to see many of you in Las Vegas.
Great. Okay, let's see. Another question here. So is there room in HCA for more insurance companies? And what about additional appliance manufacturers? So maybe or Jeff, if you have comments, but do you want to talk maybe about membership? And that might be helpful here in terms of who can join.
Absolutely. It's HCA is certainly open to everybody, and it's not only appliance companies, and it's open to the industry in general. I think what we have done is the topics that we are focused on has naturally sort of attracted large appliance or HVAC companies, but it is certainly open to everybody. We do have more members joining. They are in the process. Another one is that HCA's membership today is, there's the sponsor level and the participant level. There's a formation of the adopter level, which is a new one. And that's a much easier join, where therefore you can use all of the specifications that have been developed. That's where I think we will see a very cross mix of different industries that will join, right? I think another example, again, back to the Korea Association of Smart Home and the special interest group that they are helping to kind of facilitate. Everything from, for example, like lighting companies to property developers. There's a whole spectrum of companies that are in discussions with us to leverage both the interop spec and the energy management specification, because I think these are so efficiently built. And I think that you will start to see a wider distribution of industries participating and working with the large appliance and HVAC companies, right? So, but Jeff, I will pass it on to you in terms of other insurance companies, or any thoughts?
Yeah, I think, like you said, we're going to continue to, as an alliance, as a group, look for, where there are either gaps or problems that we can solve, and encourage others to come in. HSB happens to be in a unique position where, because we're a reinsurer of so many primary carriers, we can essentially be a platform to access other carriers and to get their insights, understand their problems, and bring it back to the alliance. So we'll certainly do that in the meantime as a conduit. But we'll also be talking about HCA to our clients. So if there's interest, then we'll bring that back to the group and see if it's a fit.
Perfect. Okay, we've got a few more questions coming in. So, is it important to HCA that the group is global? Maybe if you want to maybe
Sure, I
speak to
can take that, but
John,
that's
or John
something
or
John and Michael knows
yeah.
very well too. So
That's true. Yeah.
I think yes. So one of the things Michael mentioned earlier is, because HCA is a global organization, some of us in regions where maybe a use case hasn't evolved yet, get a little bit early insight into what might be coming in a few years. So the example of the integration that's being done right now with the European Union Code of Conduct for Energy Smart Appliances, they're doing an integration, or leading an integration with home energy management systems that is sort of advanced from where we are in North America right now. And so we're learning from that and getting prepared for what I believe will be coming to our region in the next few years.
Right. Okay, perfect.
absolutely. And I think our call times, task force and work group call times is a testament to the globalness. It's we realize there's no good time for anybody. It's basically when you're trying to get like Europe and US and Asia, and then our biggest challenge is if we get something from Australia, that area, then it's going to be the biggest challenge. But yeah, today it's already our members from Medea, from Haier, the LG, Samsung, as well as Europe and the US. It's quite a challenge, but it's I think that's what makes it very, very dynamic. And I tell you, John, I don't know if you would agree, but home appliances region by region is very, very different in terms of the functionality that's, you know, pushed, and it's so related with culture, right? So whether it's food or clothing, and the devices really couldn't be, you know, more different, right? And it's quite amazing because you think that like a fridge is a fridge, but when you go from region to region, the size of washers, for example, like the size of a dryer in the US, it just blows everybody's mind. You know, every time everybody sees it, it's ginormous, right? So
And a lot of
uh,
energy.
that's right. That's right. But it's exciting because, and I think that's what makes it quite interesting, right? And I think that's what helps everybody to think about innovation in a very global context. So globalness is one of our strengths. Yeah.
Example of what you were talking about, different appliances in different regions. We have mini split heat pumps here in the United States, but not to the degree that they're around the rest of the world, right? We most of our systems here in the U.S. are central ducted systems, and so it's a different mindset when you're interfacing with a different type of appliance there. You know, some of the differences in ovens and cooktops might have safety implications for the different regions. So yeah, we have to consider a lot of things when we come together to write a spec.
Absolutely. But one thing for certain is that all consumers, no matter where they are, want to save energy, want to save money, right? So these are, you know, universal goals that ties all of this together, right? And I think that's the glue that helps us move forward. We are all competitors, right? But this is the glue that helps us move together to kind of find solutions that help those core, you know, needs and benefits, right? So.
And actually that kind of touches on the next question that came in. You know, there's a lot of direct competitors on the members list, and how does HCA deal with that?
I'm going to throw it back to John and Michael.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys see it every day, right? In the work groups.
I mean, I think it definitely is a chance where we all, like, the industry gets better when we're working together and, you know, able to kind of share the ideas and, you know, focus on what needs to get done. I think, you know, that's what's guided us forward. You know, it's not about who can do this first. It's like, how do we get into the market together? So I think that's been very helpful.
Yeah, the things that Yoon said a lot early on. You know, as competitors, we were all fighting over, you know, a little piece of pie, because the IoT, you know, everyone's been poised waiting for IoT to take off for, you know, a decade or two now. And one of the things that has been sort of a roadblock for IoT taking off is the little silos that we've all built around our way of doing things. And by coming together, we're sort of clearing one of those roadblocks and making it, growing the whole pie instead of fighting over one little piece of pie.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes it, you know, when the scale happens, that's what makes it, you know, interesting for an energy company like Resideo or, you know, insurance company like HSB, right? None of our companies are small companies. All of the companies are fairly, you know, if not the largest companies in the world, everybody's pretty global, right? So scale is quite important, right? Scale allows us to really transfer the benefit back to the consumer, and it helps us achieve efficiency, right? And so I think this is why we are being, you know, there's of course a part of us that want to really run fast and kind of adopt something really fast. But I think we're taking the careful and a little bit conservative approach to make sure that what we do will be there for, for the life of the product. This is our burden and our challenge, right? And so I think we focus on that. Although all of the board directors and basically my bosses, they don't want to hear me say that we got to move a little faster, but that is the challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we've got a few more questions here. And we talked a little bit about this in the beginning, but maybe we can revisit because there's a question about how does HCA coexist with matter?
Yeah. I'll kind of maybe take a short view on that. So from day one, I think when we started HCA, the first question we asked is, should HCA exist separately as an organization, or should this be something that's inside of Matter, right? We went through a long conversations with the founding members, and we landed on that it needs to independently, exist as an organization for a few key reasons. But that's how we ended up. And one of the things we initially did, although it would exist as a separate organization, what we did was reach out to Matter and have a relationship, right? So from day one, I am just yesterday with Michelle Freeman from Matter. We are in a meeting together. With Tobin, the president. We maintain a conversation so that we, as I mentioned before, do not end up with the fragmented situations that's unintentional. I think we are well aware of each other. And one of our board members, directors, Dave Kaufman, always uses this great analogy is we are all headed in the same directions, but in different swim lanes, right? So today, HCA is focused on a certain category of products and a certain, technology approach. And it's a reflection of the nature of our category, right? The long life products, the ability to, enroll legacy products. But we coexist this way because I think we converse with them. And I think we agree that we are heading in the same direction, but in different swim lanes. John, Michael, I don't know if you want to add a little, technical view to that, but that is how we view it.
Yeah, I think just quickly, it gives, the highest likelihood that customers that have a smart appliance an opportunity for it to participate in, an ecosystem that has multiple things connected, if it's happening on the local network or it's happening in the cloud. And I think, it just opens up more possibilities.
Great.
Yeah. And those more possibilities can, if we think about, Matter being specifically more of a device to device communication, and HCA being a cloud to cloud communication, those difference in methodologies can enable different use cases and different ways that our companies and our customers can benefit from those. Thinking specifically about energy, if you have a device to device connection for your energy management, for your demand response, well, that might be optimized for some situations. But in the case of demand response, maybe that's not optimized for the utility to know that device is available when they have a need. And so by having that as a cloud to cloud connection, the utility knows that the homeowner's incentivized to keep their appliance connected to our clouds. Because that's how they're able to communicate with their with their mobile app. And so there's that incentive there, and that incentive also helps, vicariously, for the energy company. They're benefiting from that as well, because now they know that that device is going to stay connected. And so, but with Matter, they enable use cases that and benefits that you don't see from cloud to cloud. So there's, like Yoon said, there's different swim lanes aligned toward a common goal. Many of our companies are members of both organizations. And so.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Great. We have a few more questions here. So will there be a new version of HCA interface specifications in 2025?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Maybe you want more
Busy
than that.
teams. Stay
Yeah,
tuned. Yeah.
Yeah, we're actively working on that right now, 2025 and beyond. So we're focused on a key set of features and changes that we want to make for a spec that hopefully we'll see in January. We're meeting together in 2 weeks to hopefully finalize a draft that we can send through intellectual property rights review, and that would enable us to release in the January timeframe. That's the cadence that we've tried to keep an annual update. There's also, Jeff's here. His team's working on an insurance API. That one probably won't be ready in January. That one will probably come out later in the year. So that might get us off cycle a little bit for our traditional January releases. But sometime in 2025, there should be the insurance API come out. And as I mentioned earlier, we're actively working on things for future versions too. So things that we know won't make it into the spec this year, but we want to have the forward-looking vision to work on some things that we think are critical, but more of a long-term investment.
Yeah, Liz, I might just add on to what John said there, that exactly that task of creating standards around data sharing with insurance companies is exactly what the insurance task force is focused on. And so again, a little bit a next phase than compared to what John talked about there, but that's exactly what we're focused on in terms of unlocking that consistent and unique way of sharing that data. As I mentioned before, in the insurance industry today, it's nearly all historical data, and the industry really struggles with real-time current data. And so we're excited to be able to bring this forward with standards and specs around, what data shared, when's it shared, how to create common taxonomy around alerts to end consumers. And again, that unlocks a lot of possibilities for the homeowner.
Perfect. That actually answers another audience question already. So that's great. Another one that came in, it says, what role does AI play in HCA? AI is very, very hot topic right now. Is that something that's involved with HCA?
I don't think we have an AI task force just yet, or any large language models coming to us to try to develop use cases. But yeah, I mean, I see what we've kind of built and how it's like cloud to cloud and sharing of data. I mean, it could empower our member companies if they were to build their own AI solutions to be able to encompass more of this ecosystem that's being created. Be able to create like an occupancy model, maybe understand what would be should I participate in this demand response event or not, because of how the other appliances are interacting. So I think very much it enables our companies and maybe other developers that are involved with our companies to make the most of AI technology to really help drive benefits for the customers.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And I think
I view a
that's,
lot of what
go
HCA
ahead,
is doing as,
Jeff.
yeah, I'm sorry,
Sorry.
a lot of what HCA is doing is just even more input into large language models and be it in the industry or elsewhere to just further leverage all the unique data and insights and information that we'll have coming out of this.
Absolutely. And I think as both of you guys you know, alluded, the real-time nature of the data is, I think, what will kind of push it forward to the kind of next level, right? I think the you know, many of the data coming from our devices, you know, it's basically telematics in the home, right? So this becomes real data, real-time data that becomes informative and you know, will feed the AI and different systems to become, you know, smarter and more relevant, right? And I think this is the opportunity that we all see. Data economy, as we, you know, in the home is happening, right? And this is happening, and the connections are all possible today. And I think this is where the big shift in the next several years we will see, right? And I think this is what is very exciting to many of us.
Great. And lastly,
I'll maybe
oh,
turn that
yeah.
into
Yeah.
into a solicitation. You know, we've our use cases and the value that we add as an organization is largely driven by the contributions of our member companies. You know, Resideo leading the energy management task force, HSB leading the insurance task force. If you're from one of these companies with a large language model and you want to join HCA and lead a task force, I think we're all ready and waiting to learn from you and how we can make life better together.
Absolutely. Okay, great. You know, we did have a couple questions come in about specific, you know, implementations, and we'll go ahead and address those offline since we'll connect you with manufacturers. So just letting our listeners know. Great. So we have just a few minutes left. So maybe we could just talk about what's our takeaway for the listeners, for our audience, and any last thoughts here.
I will maybe end with this comment. I think the heavy lifting, you know, I think thanks to Michael and the Energy Management Task Force, I think John overall in terms of the technical, you know, work group, much of the heavy lifting has actually been done, right? And you know, we are thankful that we have leaders who can kind of, you know, take us that way. I think the opportunity now is to leverage all of the work that has been done and to put into action, you know, everything from creating the additional benefits to creating new business models that really take advantage of this and kind of change the nature of our industry. You know, how industries succeed and you know, continue. I think we will start to see a very positive transition, right? And so, you know, now is a great time for different industries, different companies to participate and really kind of fully enjoy the great work that's been done, right? There's still, of course, a lot of work, and there will always be, but I believe that the real heavy lifting has been done, and I want to say thank you. You know, thank you to both of you for doing that, and Jeff, thank you for leading the insurance task force. Yeah.
Great. Well, that, you know, brings us to the end of our webinar. So thank you to everyone who joined us today. And a recording of the webinar will be available to view on demand. You know, please visit, you know, the HCA website, our social media channels, you know, for HCA news, and we'll make sure to keep everybody updated as we progress.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Liz.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
You're welcome.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.